Memorizing the sharp and flat keys for major scales has always proved to be challenging. When I first learned this concept, I ended up memorizing this by writing out these scales hundreds, if not thousands of times, until it became firmly embedded in my long-term memory. Effective, but really time-consuming and definitely not that much fun. It wasn't until I started teaching privately that I noticed some very cool relationships between the sharp and the flat keys that I never learned in music school, and as a result started to get some real immediate results when sharing this concept with my students. What I figured out is there's a particular mathematical integrity when lining up a flat key and a sharp key with the same letter name as the root of the key. I realized by adding the number of flats and sharps together, it always equaled the number 7, which by the way is the number of notes within a major scale. As I checked this to make sure that there was consistency from key to key, I was blown away with this symmetry because it now meant that somebody learning this for the very first time would only have to memorize the first 3 sharp and flat keys. From there you can easily work out the rest of the remaining keys using the addition method. This concept is so easy that anybody can learn it, so stay with me. Go ahead and start out with some basic rules when constructing major scales. All major scales move in the order of the musical alphabet from A to G. Major scales will consist of natural notes, flats, and sharps, but will never mix sharps and flats together in the same key. Except for the key of C, each letter name has 2 major scales based on the same root note, with one scale containing flats and the other scale containing sharps. The combined number of sharps and flats between these 2 scales will always add up to the number 7. Okay, so as an example, let's go ahead and take a look at the key of F major, which has 1 flat. Using this mathematical equation, all I have to do is add the number to 1 that equals 7, which happens to be 6. Therefore, the key of F sharp has 6 sharps. What's really cool about this is this same concept works for every letter name in the musical alphabet except for C, which relates to 3 different major scales, which are C, C flat, and C sharp. So the key of C major has 0 flats, but the key of C flat major has 7 flats. Same deal with C major having 0 sharps and the key of C sharp major having 7 sharps. Once again, the number of flats plus the number of sharps equals 7. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this chart. As you can see, I've divided this into 3 different columns. Scales with flats, scales with sharps, aligned against each other with the same letter name. And then the 3rd column is basically the total between the number of flats plus the number of sharps, and that always equals the number of 7, and this is how we can work this out. So the very cool thing about this methodology is that I just have to know what the key signature is for the first 3 flats and the first 3 sharps. And that's kind of easy to remember. Most people will remember that F has 1 flat, B flat has 2 flats, and E flat has 3 flats. Most people also remember that G has 1 sharp, D has 2 sharps, and A has 3 sharps. It's just a way that people tend to remember things, in that you can pretty much keep 3 things going on in your mind at once, and that's a very powerful thing to understand. Basically what we're doing is looking at the negative image of each one of these as we progress up from 0 flats to 3 flats comparatively to our sharp keys, and the same thing when we progress from 0 sharps up to 3 sharps, and the negative image that reflects to get our total of 7 for each one of these keys. So if we look at the first one, we have the key of C has 0 flats. The key of C sharp now, we can instantly understand that that has 7 sharps. So it basically means that all the notes are sharped. When we go to the key of F, most people know that there's 1 flat in the key of F, and that flat is B flat. and we move to the key of F sharp, if we can't remember that, then we can always add the number to 1 to equal 7, which is going to be 6. So the key of F sharp is 6 sharps, and it's really important to understand this concept that in the key of F, we have 6 natural notes and the 1 flat. The 1 flat is B flat, but the 6 natural notes is F, G, A, C, D, and E. So when I move those natural notes up 1/2 step to the key of F sharp, they all become sharps. They're all the sharp notes now. So that's F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, C sharp, D sharp, and E sharp. And the 1 flat, which was B flat, now moves up 1/2 step, and that becomes a natural note, and that's called B natural. So that's very cool to understand, so you can really see the negative image of each one of these scales. Most people can remember that B flat has 2 flats. That's B flat and E flat. If we then add the number to equal 7, it becomes 5. So we then know that the key of B is 5 sharps. That is a key that a lot of people guess between 4 and 5 all the time. So now you definitively know by using this methodology. E flat has 3 flats. Again, it's easy to remember. Most people remember those first 3 keys on either side of the spectrum. By then adding the number that equals 7, that's 4. So I now know that E has 4 sharps. If we then look down at the bottom of the second column and we start with C, which has 0 sharps, we then are going to add the number to 0 so we can get 7. So it's obviously 7. So C flat is 7 flats. And again, every note is flatted because every note in C natural is our natural notes. If I then go up to the key of G, easy to remember that that has 1 sharp. Most people know that. All I have to do is add the number until it equals 7. So therefore, I get G flat has 6 flats. The same idea continues with the key of D. It has 2 sharps. 5 plus 2 equals 7. So the key of D flat has 5 flats. And remember how we're comparing these, because these keys all have the same letter name. Okay, yeah, some are flatted and some are natural and some are sharped, but it's still the same comparative letter name, and that's how you look at these things. And also, when you then do the comparison, they're all a 1/2 step away from each other in every situation. So you're moving either a 1/2 step up or a 1/2 step down when you're doing these. If I then go to the key of A, which has 3 sharps, most people just about remember that, then you can start to remember very easily that the key of A flat has 4 flats. Although the keys are often referred to as only being 12 keys, there's actually 15 keys that exist. The reason for this is that we can have major scales that have from 1 to 7 flats, as well as scales from 1 to 7 sharps. So 7 plus 7 equals 14. Add to that the key of C, which has no sharps or flats, and presto, we get 15 keys. Although learning and memorizing the major keys in Western music is one of the most fundamental elements that opens up so many doors to understanding tonal music, I would have to say that the majority of people that I've taught over the span of nearly 40 years do not understand this concept completely. Oh, many will learn the theory of this concept in order to pass an elementary music test at a music school, but even if they've learned it well enough to pass the test, this information is soon forgotten because it's rarely internalized on the bass guitar, and it's rarely understood in how it's organized within the harmonic structure of a song you're playing over. If you really want to understand the fundamentals of bass playing, then you've got to sign up for my next Bass Foundation course class, which starts in August 2019. Just click over here and it's going to take you to a page that's going to break everything down and explain just how great the value of this course really is. Make sure to secure your place soon because there's only 15 places left. That's right, 10 people have already signed up for this course in advance. So there's a good chance that this course could be sold out in the next couple of weeks. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if you subscribe, then make sure to click on that little notifications bell. That way, every time I release a new video, you'll immediately be notified. Until next time, practice smart, work hard, and play creatively.